Screen is grey. Okay, let's do that. Aha! Victory is mine, everyone. And we're live. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's had a... what day is it? Wednesday? Yeah, it is Wednesday, because PMQs. Victory! Hope everyone's had a good Wednesday. It's been very busy on my end. Ish. Kind of. Yes. It's been a few weeks. I've missed a few of these. I figured, with Boris in quarantine, it seemed wise not to waste my time on his version of PMQs. I kind of want to see him do a proper one. And so that's what we've got. He's now out of his 14-day quarantine. And as Skog in the chat quite rightly points out, fun is being officially banned. We should probably start to ream Boris for some of his poor decisions, shouldn't we? Because he's hardly innocent in any of this. I've just been tapping my thing over now. Doesn't matter. Hello, Jason Woods, Wildling, Leona. Hello, Karma. Hello, Skog, Globus Hystericus, and Chaos. I think there's another person. There is not. Cyrene is usually here. There have been some interesting votes this week. Yesterday, for example, and I'm going to do this before PMQs, it's quite important. The government voted successfully to introduce the new tiered system that comes into effect today, I think. And interestingly with that, Labour abstained. So, yeah, that's going to go well. It's why one of the hashtags under this is General Indecision. Used to be Captain Hindsight. He's been promoted. Oh, yeah, reaming the government for stupid. I think it's annoying because we all wanted Boris to be PM. Well, I'll say all of us. A lot of us wanted Boris to be PM because he's very entertaining. Sadly, it turns out he's just trash. He's entertaining, but come on, Boris. You've handled this badly. Then again, how could he handle it right? Hello, Neferbeth. Hope you're well. In the sense that, hello, TTs. I think... they are absolute bollocks, you're quite right. Don't worry, we can swear on this channel. I have no issue with it because his streams always get demonetised. I like Boris. He's fun. A lot of his policies I can agree with, but coronavirus has absolutely ruined him. That and also the fact that, I think it's his fiancée, is it? Carrie Simmons is somehow taking front and centre, which also negatively impacts policy, and it's bugging everyone because it's alleged that she's interfering in his cabinet and his secretaries and advisors, and that's wrong. Was it William Hague or Ian Duncan Smith? One of those two. It was William Hague, I think. Or Ian. No, it's one of those two bald idiots. They once said that as much as they respect their wife, when their wife tried to talk about politics or how the cabinet should be run, it was not their place, and so they were told that. I mean, I know it's not even that can come across as quite misogynistic, but it's actually a separation of power in the sense of marriage and work. It is not your job to tell someone how to do their job. And hello, Russell Burnham. Take your bird when your bird takes over, despite not. Oh, that's true. Yeah. Oh well. Anyway, Labour didn't vote, and it's caused a bit of a stir. I thought it wouldn't get through actually, because 50 Conservative MPs were against it. I know Corbyn was also voted against it, so I know Labour are not united on this. They're also not united on Brexit either, which I found quite amusing. Got a problem, but this content is way more serious. Oh, we can't have serious content on YouTube.
That
Let me know your limits.
Oh, no. Ireland. We're now going to start Prime Minister's question.
Just want to say, in the context of what that particular politician said to their wife, they were right to say it. Because you shouldn't be meddling in your husband's business as much as your husband shouldn't be meddling in your business. It applies both ways. Otherwise, no, it doesn't. There are no real limits, are there? There you go. There's my anti-sexist message. I don't want to be accused of being a far-right misogynist. I've already seen far-right today from a freaking piece of trash that's years old anyway. Hello, Mama, by the way. And yes, don't forget to hit the like or dislike, depending on which one you prefer. Let's start.
And I start with Chris Green.
Question number 1, Mr. Speaker.
Oh, Boris is back in Parliament, by the way.
Mr. Speaker, today I'm proudly wearing purple to celebrate International Day for Disabled People, which is, of course, tomorrow. Next year...
Wait. Wasn't the 19th International... On the 19th, I don't recall anyone wearing any particular... What do men get for International Men's Day, colour-wise? Can we have something manly, like neon pink? Fluorescent yellow? Or is just the colour of a dog turd enough?
We will publish our national strategy for disabled people, which will be the most ambitious intervention in this area for a generation, putting fairness at the heart of the government's work and levelling up so that everybody has
you can
the
stop saying
opportunity
levelling up, you're lying to us.
fully to participate in the life of this country. Mr. Speaker, I know that the whole House will want to join me in welcoming the fantastic news that the MHRA has formally authorised the Pfizer vaccine for COVID-19.
Yay, I'm so happy.
The vaccine will begin to be made available across the UK from next week. I would like to pay tribute to and to thank all those who have made this possible. It is the protection of vaccines that will ultimately allow us to reclaim our lives and get our economy moving again.
I hope so, because I've got like 4 gigs planned next year. I think the list is currently Funeral for a Friend, Skindred, who's the other one recently? Powerwolf, and Behemoth. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Chris Green.
Thank you, Speaker. I'd like to share the congratulations with the Prime Minister
give us the lip service question.
Of this,
Come on.
New vaccine and the speed with which it's got out, and to give that congratulations especially to the engineers, technicians and scientists who have delivered it. Now, I believe that we should support the widest distribution and take-up of safe and effective medicines. But does my right friend agree with me that it should always be taken on a wholly voluntary basis by individuals and families?
Prime Minister.
Absolutely, Mr. Speaker. I strongly urge people to take up the vaccine, but it is no part of our...
Well, I say take up, so the thing is, first of all, it will be imposed upon people regardless, and also it will be prioritised. The elderly, the key workers, government, of course, go first, and I think children, and then everyone else. I know there was a claim that the morbidly obese should get it first because they're higher risk. Okay, if you're basing it on BMI, I know people who are really skinny that are still considered morbidly obese because it doesn't make sense.
Our culture or our ambition in this country to make vaccines mandatory. That's not how we do things.
Yeah, you're going to make it mandatory regardless, and you know it. You know you're going to. You can say what you want about the anti-vaxxers, but you're going to force it on them too. Come on. People aren't stupid, okay? Is this where I need to start spouting what Dave Cullen's been saying on his channel for a better part of 6 months? And he's getting views from that. The reason I'd never say things like what he has... Hello, Cyrene, you are late. You should be ashamed of yourself. Hello, Gemma Deering, hope you're well. The reason why I won't is because, unlike Dave, I actually don't want to be yeeted from the site.
We now come to the Leader of the Opposition, Right Honourable Keir Starmer.
Before getting
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I join the Prime Minister in his comments on disabled people? And like the Prime Minister, can I start with the fantastic news about the licensing of a vaccine?
I was talking to my sister about this in the car earlier because she was quite surprised it happened so quick. I pointed out, well, it's not surprising in the sense that this is considered vastly more important than whatever else was in the way of it. So undoubtedly they would rush it regardless. Chaos. It's funny to me that actual hearing-impaired people seem to telegraph the emotive expressions much less than hearing persons than translators. We're taught it's like tone of voice. I'm just impressed they've got another translator.
This pandemic has caused so much grief and so much loss, but we're now a big step closer to the end of the tunnel. And like the Prime Minister, can I express my thanks, those of everyone in these benches and across the House, to all the scientists who've worked on this and to everybody who's taken part in the trials.
To be fair, Discnar, he meant to say he wanted to pay lip service to the autists, but he couldn't say the word. It's too complicated for him.
Delivering a vaccine
well,
fairly,
Juggernaut. Hope you are
quickly
too.
and safely will now be the next major challenge facing the country, and whatever our differences across this House, we've all a duty to play our part in this national effort and to reassure the public about the safety of the vaccine. Mr. Speaker, this morning a priority list has been published for the first phase of the rollout. We understand that around 800,000 doses will soon be available, and that's good news because...
Yes, in a country of over 65 million, 800,000 is fantastic. What I really want to see, by the way, is this room full again. I want to hear chuntering. I want to hear mad bants. I want to see the speaker lose his cool.
Because of the 2 doses that will be required, that means 400,000 people can be vaccinated in the first batch. So can the Prime Minister tell the House who does he expect to receive the vaccine next week?
Politicians, they're important, yo.
I'm grateful to the right honourable gentleman for his point about the rollout, and let me perhaps just update the House on what the JCVI has concluded so far, and the priority list will be residents in a care home for older adults and their carers to stop transmission, all those 80 years of age and older. Frontline health care and social care workers, then all those of 75 years of age and over, then all those of 70 years of age and over, the clinically extremely vulnerable individuals.
Hey, Scott,
and then
you've got ages yet.
A list that I'm sure the House will want to study closely, but I believe does represent common sense. I think it is very important at this stage for us all to recognise that this is unquestionably good news. It's very, very good news. But it is by no means the end of the story. It is not the end of our national struggle against coronavirus.
I'll be honest, the only thing that's annoying me is the lack of work, the boredom, the lack of recreation, let's go with that, leisure, hospitality. Problem is, I guess the big one is that because he's a Conservative, he's all about big business. And he can say he's not, but he is. And the only businesses that have thrived under this are bigger businesses. And what was it? Big businesses have seen their profits rise by up to 80%. Small businesses, they're kind of dead. Yeah, they're not going to survive. Who would have believed it? Hard to thunk it.
And that is why it's very important that the package of moderate but tough measures that the House voted for last night, the tiering system, is followed across the
the House voted for it, hey? Okay.
Country, because that's how we will continue to beat the virus.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And the Prime Minister referenced the priority for the first phase, and as he said, the top 2 priority groups are residents in care homes for older adults and their carers, all those 80 years of age and over, and frontline health and social care workers. Now, I'm not criticising that list in the slightest, but it's obvious that that's more than 400,000 people, and the Prime Minister...
Yeah, which is why I guess they're going to have to roll out the extra 4.2 million they said they'd roll out before Christmas. Quickly. And then hope it works, because if it doesn't, I can sense this furlough getting more expensive. Or people just going hungry, whichever's easiest.
Will understand how anxious people in those particular groups are after having sacrificed so much. So can the Prime Minister tell us the answer to the question that they're going to be asking this morning, which is when does he expect that all people in those 2 top groups can expect to be vaccinated?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think at this stage it is very, very important that people do not get their hopes up too soon about the speed with which we will be able to roll out this vaccine.
I don't think it's a case of getting one's hopes up. I think it's more a case of a lot of people live within this fantasy of results happening, and that's it. They expect and demand, because that's how they think the world works, forgetting that, yes, everything takes time. I don't trust the vaccine. I don't really trust much either, to be fair. I'm very much on the fence, because I've yet... the test was quite small. The results were fantastic, yes, but I'm still I'm going to sit back and wait. Since, I'll be honest, I'm low priority anyway. I'm, 34? I'm way down the ladder. And isn't it supposed to be that... thank you, the like button. It's very kind of you. Very generous donation there. And yes, please consider loving my like button. So yes, when they do start rolling us out, we have to wait and see. I think, isn't it, like, my age range and the decade before, I guess, they're kind of probably going to be last on the list, to be fair. It wouldn't surprise me, because kids and all that need to be first, and, well, no one cares about the peasantry.
It is beginning, as my right honourable friend, the Health Secretary, has said, from
Among
next
us.
week. We are expecting several million doses of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine before the end of the year. We will then be rolling it out as fast as we possibly can. But that's why I put so much emphasis, Mr. Speaker, on the continuing importance of the tiering system of mass community testing at the same time as we go forward through these tough winter months, because we will need, at the same time as we roll out the vaccine, and he's right to ask about timetables, but as we roll out the vaccine over the next few weeks, Mr. Speaker, we will need to keep that tough tiering and testing regimes in place.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I press the Prime Minister a bit further about the plan for care homes? And I do so because we all want this to work, because that top category is residents in care homes. And that'll obviously be a huge concern for many people. This morning, the Welsh Government has already raised some serious practical problems.
Before we continue with the Welsh practical problems, I just want to point out Mark Drakeford, is that his name? The Welsh, leader. Because of his very strict alcohol-related rules, he's been barred from 100 pubs in Wales, which is most of them, in fact, because he's banned selling alcohol after certain times. And they're like, fuck you, Mark.
About the delivery of vaccines into care homes. That's bearing in mind the temperatures at which the vaccines have to be stored. Now, the Prime Minister must know this is going to be a four-nation problem, must be aware that this problem would arise. And obviously we all want to overcome this problem, and it's in that spirit that I asked the Prime Minister what plans has he put in place to address these particular problems of getting the vaccine safely and quickly into care homes, given the practical difficulties of doing so and the anxiety that those in care homes will have about getting it quickly.
I'll be honest, at their age, they're probably thinking, well, this is it for me, and you're the last visit I've had in a year. I'm going to make most of this. Now, where's my bloody cookie? Make sure it's sugar-free. I don't want to be dragged down because of my beta show. Let's have a read the chat here. Persons with weak immune systems will not be given the vaccine. Not surprising. Everyone is anti-vax on this. It's always, I'll wait for the others to take it first. I think there's always going to be a distrust, because many haven't seen the information. The conclusive, well, that's probably the biggest issue, actually, is that it's just there. It's like, there's the vaccine, and people are like, okay, where's the science? I know that in other cases, Chaos mentions measles, pertussis, and others that have a vaccine with that. I'll be honest, we didn't grow up with the proof, did we? We just had the jabs anyway. And I'll be honest, that's where I sit with SCOG. Because so many people have been tested positive, but it's such a low. The infection rate, of course, is high, but people are still forgetting the death rate, and they're ignoring it, and they're like, "Oh, but so many people have got Rona." Okay, well, I had a sneeze earlier. Does that count as me having Rona now as well? I'm not going to die from a sneeze. I'm not Elvis Presley.
Prime Minister.
Well,
and I know he had a heart attack pooping out. I always thought he'd sneezed when he did it. And I have a Cookie Monster onesie. Don't even get me started, Gemma. I actually do.
He is entirely right to raise the issue of care homes and the our ability to distribute this particular type of vaccine rapidly into care homes, because it does need to be kept at minus 70 degrees, as I think the House understands. So there are logistical challenges to be overcome to get vulnerable people the access to the vaccine that they need. We are working on it with all the devolved administrations in order to ensure that the NHS across the country is able, and it's the NHS that will be in the lead, is able to distribute it as fast and as sensibly as possible to the most vulnerable groups. But he's right to raise that particular logistical difficulty. That's why it's also...
I assume very large trucks with refrigerator units that are bathing in liquid nitrogen are going to be what stores this. Just want to add to this, by the way, Skog mentions, pretty sure I said it once or twice, if we're basing it on when we were last sick, I think for 6 hours I was ill last Christmas. I was dizzy. I was just a bit woozy. I felt like I wanted to throw up, but I couldn't. Sat in an armchair for about... No, was it the year before? I don't know. 6 hours, though. Does that mean I had corona? Or was that the norovirus? Or was it SARS? Oh, you know what? Screw it. It was the Black Plague, everyone.
Important,
I had the Black Plague.
that we get the AstraZeneca vaccine, which we hope will also come on stream. And while he's paying tribute to those who've been involved in the vaccines, perhaps he could also pay tribute to the work of the Vaccine Task Force, which secured the deal with Pfizer, and which he, I think, criticised only a few weeks ago.
Here we go, some attacking.
To everybody who's got us this far, and we'll work with all of them to get us where we need to go next. This has to be something which we all pull together to deliver this as quickly and safely as possible over the next
Come on,
few
I want to see some
months.
fighting.
And I've made that offer to the Prime Minister before, and I do it again. Can I? And it's really in that vein I turn to the next question, which is public confidence in the vaccine, which is a real cause for concern, because that's going to be crucial to the success of getting this rolled out across the country. Getting our economy back up and running.
I want to see the studies, and I've not seen any of it.
As the Prime Minister knows, we've got the highest regulatory and medical safety standards
Freedom
in the world.
passports.
But it's really important we do everything possible to counter dangerous,
we talked about that, didn't we?
frankly, life-threatening disinformation about vaccines.
Oh, no.
We on this side have called for legislation to be introduced to clamp down on this.
So the problem with that is Labour wanted to introduce a bill that dealt with, air quotes, fake news. But then who's the person saying it's fake news? And I'll be honest, if it's in the context of coronavirus, what's to say that they won't then reappropriate it for other outlets? We can't have that, Keir. Oh, you can act like normal, indeed.
With financial penalties for companies that fail to act. So will the Prime Minister work with us on this and bring forward emergency legislation in the coming days, which I think the whole House would support?
I can't, for the sake of it, I can't support that. It's too... Actually, the word authoritarian is correct. I can't... If people don't agree with something, let them speak. Let the people decide. Stop. It's funny because the way politicians do this is to frame it as if people are stupid. And yes, there are dumb people who say dumb things. But because you're treating them like idiots, you're not giving them a fair chance to speak and then be debunked. Publicly, for that matter. You're just hiding behind, we should just put some legislation in. Yeah, that'll work. You know what'll happen next? You won't be able to criticise the party in power because any criticism can be considered fake news. What happens then? Dictatorship, yo.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we are, of course, working to tackle all kinds of disinformation across the internet, and he's right to single out the anti-vaxxers and those who I think are totally wrong in their approach, and he's right to encourage take-up of vaccines across the country. And we'll be publishing a paper very shortly, Mr. Speaker, on online harms designed to tackle the very disinformation that he speaks of.
Cannot enshrine it in law, because if you do it, you control people's ability to speak. For, this government, they claim to champion free speech. If they did, well, they don't actually, but they've said it on a few occasions, which is, But if they want to appear to be in favour of free speech, they cannot curtail it with legislation.
Mr. Speaker, can I also urge the Prime Minister, once the government has a communications plan for the vaccine, can he share it with the House so that we can all say the same thing in the same way to the country and thus encourage as many people to take up the vaccine as possible? Now, the arrival of vaccine is obviously wonderful news, but it will come too late to many who've lost their jobs already. And I want to turn to the collapse of the Arcadia Group and Debenhams in the last 48 hours.
I don't care about Arcadia and Debenhams.
25,000 jobs at risk, and obviously caused huge anxiety to many families at the worst possible time.
Screw them.
To rip the heart out of many high streets.
Where's my
in
work?
Our towns and cities. So can the Prime Minister tell the House what is he going to do now to protect the jobs and the pensions of all those affected by these closures?
Absolutely nothing, because the government's borrowed hundreds of billions
Mr. Speaker,
already.
We're looking at what we can do to protect all the jobs that are being lost currently across the country, and my right honourable friend, the Secretary of State for Business Enterprise and Skills, has written to the Insolvency Service to look at the conduct of the Arcadia directors, and we will be doing everything we can to restore the high streets of this country with our £1 billion High Streets Fund and the Levelling Up Fund, Mr. Speaker. But I must say, I think it is a bit much that the right honourable gentleman should attack the economic consequences of the fight against coronavirus, when last night neither he nor his troops could be bothered to vote for measures, sensible, balanced measures that would open up the economy and allow businesses to trade, Mr. Speaker. How can he attack the economic consequences of our battle against coronavirus when he won't even support measures to open up the economy?
I love that. Problem is, as much as he wants to... okay, so the issue here is, because Keir Starmer didn't vote, because the Labour Party abstained, they neither supported nor sort of said no to it. They took the middle of the road and said, I'm not eating cookies. Now, I was opening a packet with a badge in it. It's sent to me, and I have one left. I'm going to send it to somebody else. But sorry about that. I do apologise. I'm not eating while I stream. I would never do that. Do I have any food? No. Sad face. So, by Keir Starmer not taking a position on this, he can and cannot appeal to people, who support that. They don't know what to think. He's taken that stance, because if he takes a position, he still runs the risk of alienating core voters they lost at the last election that they have to re-earn. And a lot of those people are like, I want to go back to work. They want money. And this current situation is absolute shite. And I'd like to see it happen in a boxing ring. Not covered in butter, though, but I'd like to see their gloves covered with thumbtacks.
Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, when I abstain, I come to the House and explain. When the Prime Minister abstains, he runs away to Afghanistan and gives the taxpayer a £20,000 bill. Mr. Speaker, on the question of jobs, there are serious questions that need to be answered about the collapse of these businesses.
You don't suppose it's because they weren't running was the reason, right? Because, remember, not essential business? Something which I should now just point out. You supported that, Keir Starmer. The question is, were you right? I'll allow my chat to answer this one. Was the government, in fact, were all politicians in the right when they shut down every business in this country? That wasn't, air quotes, essential. 1 for yes, 2 for no. That's what I want. I would make that into a little nursery rhyme, but I actually can't be bothered. And just for the sake of it, the thing I opened was a badge. It was sent to me as a gift, a Trump Pence Make America Great Again badge. I got sent 2 of them. And I'm going to put one on my corkboard, and I'm going to send the other to a mate. As a memento in case God Emperor is removed. Oh, look at all those twos! Don't... yeah, of course one, they know it. Oh, look at that. That's... okay, so on time Jamie out, he's being a dick. I'm kidding. Don't chime him out. Hello, Otaku Gamer Judas. Hope you're well. Hope everyone's well in the chat, yes. All right, let's continue.
And I don't want the Prime Minister to deflect from that and what it means for these many families, because this isn't an isolated incident.
The Great Reset, well, there's more arguments for that,
retail jobs have been lost this year. That's 200,000 individuals and their families. 20,000 stores have been closed on our high street. And that's before the latest restrictions. Now, I suspect if we'd seen that scale of job losses in any other sector, there would have been much greater action already.
Blah.
So I urge the Prime Minister to take this seriously. Don't deflect. As well as providing emergency support, will the Prime Minister work with us, with the trade unions and the sector, to finally bring forward a comprehensive plan to save retail jobs and to provide the sector with the much greater support it needs to...
But to do that, you have to borrow hundreds of billions, you bellend.
...through this crisis. These are real people, Prime Minister, with real...
I'm sorry, I'm a little bit annoyed because this is entirely because of policy that they supported that these businesses have gone under. And your solution is, we should probably bail them out now. But to do that, you have to then raid the taxpayers in the first place to pay it.
...jobs this family were
the very people who lost their jobs.
They really need to hear from you.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we're of course supporting every job that we possibly can, as we're supporting every life and every livelihood, Mr. Speaker, with a £200 billion programme. But I take him more seriously, frankly, if he actually could be bothered to vote for a programme, a moderate programme, to keep the virus down and open up the economy, Mr. Speaker. And we're getting on with our programme, as I say, of rolling out the vaccine, of sensible tiering measures, in addition to which, Mr. Speaker, we are delivering 40 more hospitals and 20,000 more police officers. And he talks about abstention.
How will we still see 20,000 extra officers? I mean, is that just the army repurposed at this point? What are you going to do? How are you going to afford that? You've got to pay a £200 billion bill.
Mr. Speaker, when it came to protecting our veterans from unfair prosecution, he chose to abstain. When it came to protecting the people of this country from coronavirus at this critical moment, he told his troops to abstain, Mr. Speaker. Captain Hindsight is rising rapidly up the ranks and has become General Indecision, Mr. Speaker. That's what's happening, I'm afraid, to the right honourable gentleman. He dithers. We get on with the job.
Okay, I'll do one question by the paper pervert, and we're getting rid of the sign language guy for this. Signy McSignface. We'll have one question from paper pervert, yeah?
To Scotland with the leader of the...
Oh, he's on TV. Alright, one question, alright? If you think his question is going to be utter shite, press 1. If you think he might ask something thought-provoking and not a complete and utter waste of time, that is essentially him paying lip service to his own country. Because his country comes first in everything, yo. You know what to press. Oh, we've got one. We've got one. And I do think they'll make it law to take a vaccine. I reckon they will. Oh, we got the ones have it. The ones have it. Because he's a fucking smeghead. Let's have a go.
SNP, Ian Blackford. Ian Blackford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This morning, for the first time in months, people have woken up with a genuine sense of hope.
No, I woke up this morning, right, without a fucking headache. There was no hope involved. I woke up and went, I need to go and get some rabbit food. And then I'm going to go round my town and look for advent calendars for my nieces. Because my sisters forgot to get the dairy-free ones. I don't give a fuck about this virus. That's my own selfish reasons of I like working and also I don't get sick. I mentioned that last time I was sick it was for 6 hours. Come on.
Vaccine approval is the news that we've all been waiting for. But, Mr. Speaker, for many, that hope on the horizon remains far too distant. There are millions who still haven't had a single penny of support from this UK government. As others rightly received help, they received none. Prime Minister, yesterday I met with Excluded UK, who represent many of these 3 million citizens. For the last 9 months, the Excluded have been living without any help, without any hope. And it is now, tragically, costing lives. Prime Minister, they told me something genuinely shocking.
I've never heard of Excluded UK. This is actually interesting. I don't know who they are. Should I have a quick look? Let's have a look. Pull that up. Oh, sorry guys. Excluded UK. Let's have a look who they are. An inclusive alliance for the excluded. Let's see. Building a community. If you're excluded, it's a grassroots volunteer-run not-for-profit organisation working towards bringing about an end to the exclusions, support measures across all employment statuses, circumstances, professions and industries. Oh, it's the people who don't qualify. Skog, aren't you one of those people? Yeah, I know. Now, I think they're saying it in the sense of Red Dwarf, by the way. If anyone says anything ill of Red Dwarf, I will yeet you from my chat for life. You will have no blasphemy about Red Dwarf ever. So exclude UK are those who don't qualify for various reasons. I couldn't possibly say why. 3 million is a large number, and I assume he meant now because winter, yo.
Shocking. They are aware of 8 people who have taken their lives in the last 10 days.
If you want, I can go pull up the UK stats on suicide. I think you'll find the numbers a lot higher, but if you want to attribute it to coronavirus, then okay. And I know that sounds quite cold. But what I mean is, he's trying to sensationalise a point. We can talk about the real numbers if you like.
People in 10 days. Prime Minister, we're now a little over 3 weeks from Christmas. These people need help. Will the Prime Minister commit to looking again at the support package for the excluded to ensure no one, but no one, is left behind?
The problem is they base a lot of the support packages on what people pay into the system. Mine is based on tax returns for 3 years, but not last year's, which really irritates me because my support package I get as self-employment income support scheme is quite low. If they based it on last year's, I'd get more. I want more. Although I did just do my 3rd one. I do get some money soon, I think. Which is cool. I'll spend it on hookers and blow. And Discanar's OnlyFans account. Yes. Nothing screams classy more than a grumpy Leicestershire man making a bruit.
Prime Minister.
Well, I obviously sympathise very much, Mr. Speaker, with those who've taken their lives and their families. And this has been a very tough time for the country. We're investing massively in mental health support across the country, as he knows, which flows through in Barnet Consequentials to obviously to Scotland, and we put in a huge package of support. He knows this, but I must repeat this for self-employed people across the country. And I know there are hard-to-reach people, but they are also supported with the increases in universal credit and the many other means of support that are currently on offer, Mr. Speaker.
I'm bored. He's giving the answer. The problem is I don't know enough about Excluded UK. What I'm seeing on their website doesn't really offer me enough information, so I can't say much beyond that. So what I'm going to do is I am going to end the stream now because I need to be in a patron VC. Yes. Thank you very much, by the way, for all of you that have joined. Hope this has been... please trust Boris when he talks about his large package. It's what Carrie really likes about him. It's just really amusing to her that... much like the hair on his head, she has to comb it like that as well out of the way to get to his package. Anyway, thank you for joining. If you haven't already, please consider smashing the like, sharing the stream because it helps support this channel by, getting others engaged in me acting like a twat for 39 minutes. I'll see you all on Friday for political recap, but I'm going to try and make a video for tomorrow. I have one in mind about the... High Court voting against trans children being allowed to transition with puberty blockers and all that before the age of 16. So I'll see you all later. Where's the end on this? I don't know where it is. Boomer! Bye!